welcome to Bitch! I'm here for the story! I am joined again, of course, with the amazing Dezzles and Zoe!
Hi, everyone!
Hello!
Today we are talking about the fourth book? Fourth book, but fifth episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Gets a little tricky here, because we're doing a little switcheroo. Because the fifth episode covers Death at Victoria Dock. Down here. Which is also one of the many book covers. There's the classic one, and then there's usually the TV one. I'd never seen this design before, so I was like, I'm gonna keep this out because it's even got Franny's even got her lovely little anarchist fake tattoo that she's got later on. She's looking very dashing.
I really like this design.
Yeah.
Looking very Franny with yes, hello. Anyway, like she does. I like it. Sorry for the delay. We had I think I stated it in one of my other videos, but just if you only watch this for some reason, which is fine. If that's your cup of tea, don't mean to judge you. We were doing holiday things, and all three of us were like, "Oh, that's right, we need a book read by this time." So we pushed that back. That's great. I really enjoyed this book. I'm not gonna lie.
Me too.
So did I.
It's interesting, and I'm very on the fence about what they didn't, what they changed and what they didn't. I thought for the most part the show did a great job actually marrying the two cases, because they are related not at all in the actual book. And they're very thinly related-ish, but it made more sense. I feel like they gave Franny a better reason for being on the docks than just happening to be driving by.
Yeah. Who just casually drives through, like, the docks on, like, a night out?
I was trying to wrap my brain around that. I'm like, Franny, where were you that you had to go by the wharf in order to get home? And what
just
seems
doing Franny things.
Like, I guess so. But, like, she made it seem like I was out on the town. I'm like, but what?
But in the docks?
Yeah.
The docks are not really where you go to party, Franny. Especially, at least it seemed like you were in more fine things because you, when you had to dress down. Anyway, so we start out Death at Victoria Docks, where Franny witnesses a murder of some poor young Latvian man, and he dies in her arms. In the show, she's at the docks because she's meeting with a guy that she was introduced to by Aunt Prudence, Mr. Waddington. But
I really like the fact that, like, in the book, he's Mr. Waddington Forsyth.
Yes.
And Franny's like, his name is so long. And then, like, in the episode, they're like, let's cut out half of it.
They cut it. Not only did they cut off Forsyth because they're like, that's too pretentious even for us. But not only did they cut it, Lila's name is not Lila in the book. It's Alicia? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Alicia.
Alicia.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't remember because I kept reading it, and every time I'm like, your name should be Lila. And it was just weirding me out every time. I'm like, why? That's a weird change. And I'm not gonna lie, even till the end, I'm going, I don't know why this change was made.
I have a theory.
That it's a demon, a dancing demon.
No,
go.
I have a theory. There's a scene in the episode where Jack and Collins, who finally makes an appearance in this book.
He does. I'm so excited. Oh, we'll get to Collins. We'll get to Collins.
Yeah. Where they're talking, and Collins makes this offhand comment. He's like, well, he's got the A tattooed. And Jack's like, oh, what do you think that means? He's like, could be the name of a lover. And he starts listing out A names like Arabella, Anastasia.
But I don't
and
think
I think
one of them
it was
Alicia.
No, but I think that changing her name from Alicia to Lila is a way to make it so that, like, there's not that accidental connection.
No,
okay,
that makes sense. Actually, that's actually pretty brilliant because especially when you've got a lot of names being thrown about, you want people starting preferably with different consonants or letters because otherwise it gets very confusing. I'm not one to point fingers, but Game of Thrones.
Oh my god.
Who is this guy now? I don't fucking know.
I don't know, something under the third something.
something dark side.
Oh, who's this guy? And someone's like, don't you remember him? He showed up in, like, for 5 minutes in the 3rd episode of season 1.
Oh, that guy. Of course I remember.
It's so much worse in the books.
Oh
my God. I've only read the one book. It's so much worse. It's like everyone has some variation on the same. Oh God, it's awful.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Waddington Forsyth. In the book, he calls her up. In the show, he's an acquaintance of Aunt Prudence, which I am sad that we still have not run into Aunt Prudence. I'm like, do you exist in the book? Do you? I don't know. I'm really hoping you do, because I kind of have a weird soft spot for Aunt Prudence in my heart. But I will forgive the book, because we did get to meet, again, Hugh Collins! Which I'm not gonna lie. So I listen to this book on my commute is usually when I get my reading time, because I have a lot of audiobooks. And I was driving, and so in the book, when she's there, because he shows up at the crime scene, right? Yeah, because he
and he's super uncomfortable.
Oh,
yeah,
he's
so uncomfortable with the body.
It's his first
and they're like,
body.
Why don't you just take her home so that you don't have to be near the body, Hugh? It's okay.
It's just
like,
and he's so sweet. I'm not gonna lie, I think I screamed in my car, because I was so like just used to like whatever, blah blah blah, and she's like, "What's your name?" Hugh Collins. Ah! I mean, whatever. That's cool. It's fine. I'll probably still have to wait for any good dot moments, but I didn't.
Nope.
They're just like, you can have it.
Boom. It's like they knew that we were like, why is Jack not showing up? What are all these people? I need more Jack and Friday moments. I need more now kiss and Anyway.
But yes, we do get to Hugh.
We do get Hugh, and so many like anyway, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's always hard to figure out how to get through this. Okay, so death happens, and in the show, she's handed an engagement ring, which I also thought was a very clever way to shorten the let's go this is the fiance, this is how we're gonna meet her. Because in the book it's a bit more meandering about how we find her, and there's 2 women that end up getting combined in the show, and I can't remember the name of the woman in the book who is actually his fiance, Yorka, who is the boy who died, because I believe Nina is the other girl. I thought Nina was... No, it's like something like Nina or something.
Yeah, because he had some words. What was it? I can... lie still, you are hurt, blah, 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 blah.
Yes, that passage. Exactly.
Okay, kick the bucket, Parisian for 2 right. He doesn't. He retched and died.
Because she meets her at the morgue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's Nina that he meets at the morgue.
Is it Nina?
Wait,
no, it's not.
Isn't wait?
I thought it was.
I thought Nina was the girl who ends up in the safe house with Dot.
No.
Yes? I thought that was the same.
They're not the same. They're 2 different women, because one was engaged to Yorka, and the other one is engaged to the Australian guy whose name I can't remember, but he's big and like,
Yes. As the girl in the safe house is Peter Smith's...
Yes. Daughter, who gets combined in the show, where Yorka's... This is so confusing. Too many Latvians running about. The woman who is Yorka's fiance in the show is also his daughter in the show, but they are separate people. Not Yorka's daughter, Peter's daughter. Peter's daughter. There is some incest running around in this book.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
Which I will say, I was actually kind of glad that they kind of took out the incest.
They didn't really, though.
In the episode, they kind of did.
I mean, the sister and brother still were having their love affair.
Were they?
Yes.
You end up finding out she's talking about... She
refers to her unnatural love.
Yeah, he says, Paul, I know this love is wrong, but Paul says love conquers all. And then you end up she speculates, was she having a thing with her brother? And then you end up finding out she's talking about she caught the mom.
Oh.
I definitely interpreted that, and that might have just been because I had read the book, and so I already had that like plot in my head.
Because I remember being like, "Oh God," in the book, and then like as it goes on, you're like, "Okay, no." But I think that was a nice little nod and an homage of like, let's have them think that, but maybe not actually have it where the brother has taken advantage of her. I don't know. It's awkward.
Yeah.
Also, the brother has got some problems because he definitely was like sliding up on Friday, and I'm like, that's weird. What's happening in this book?
Yeah.
And Friday was like, you're like 12 or 14.
Okay, so
met him in the book. I'm like,
so that's actually something with watching the show afterwards. Those two super important characters, the daughter that goes missing and the brother who's her twin brother, the way that they're done in the book, and it might have been her voicing of it or something, but I read them as way younger until they said something about, oh yeah, she's 17. And I was like, really? Because they come off as like, or no, she's 14.
14.
That's right. She says something about her.
No,
but still,
she does. She sounds like she should be like 10.
Way younger. It's the way that they talk. It's not even the way that the actress voices them necessarily. It's the way that they talk and interact. They read way younger. And so I was like, oh,
and
you're
I'm wondering
14.
if that's like Carrie Greenwood just doesn't know how to write 14-year-olds in the 1920s. I don't know.
Entirely possible. But then seeing the show, and they look like closer to like 18, 17, 18. I was like, wow, that's a very distinct difference. And like it makes the entire situation read way differently.
Yes. Like, because you're right, like in my head when I was reading through it, I still had the images of who they were in the show as like my aesthetic, like this is how I'm picturing these people. And Paul, they're twins, so Paul is 14.
Mm-hmm.
oh,
so,
yeah.
Right?
Yep.
They're twins. So that means this woman is impregnated by a 14-year-old boy, and I'm like,
yeah.
That didn't even occur to me because it had been like so long since like I found out the age.
Yeah, because it's only mentioned in like the first phone call he has with her. My 14-year-old daughter has gone missing, and then later, he mentions Paul. He's like, "Who's Paul?" Her twin brother. So I'm like, okay, they are both.
And they only mention her age again when she's at the convent, and they're talking about turning her away. They say, "Well, you turned away this like she's not even 15 years old yet." And you turned her away and like turned her out into the world, which also they combined the Mother Superior and Reverend Mother characters into one person for the show.
Yeah.
Which I was kind of sad about because I liked the distinction between Mother Superior and Reverend Mother.
Fucking badass in the book.
Yes.
And like had some humor about her. What?
So should we address this more in like the storyline of the book, just so this makes sense to?
Yes.
Yes.
We should. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just realized like we're all like
we're going everywhere, and it's hard. It's hard because these books are very like.
There's a lot of story to them,
and I'm realizing it's so much easier to talk about the ones that don't have an episode attached to it, almost, because then you're like, I can follow through the storyline rather than going, oh, but then the thing does this. The episode, shit. Okay, so, all right, let's do, what do you think? Let's do, should we follow the episode and talk about where the book detracts, even though technically book came first, because it's simpler, or?
I think because things get more combined in the show, we should follow through the book.
Good point. Okay.
Yes.
So, all right. Book. Is like, I've died in your arms. And she's like, well, fuck. What's happened?
And she's so upset because she likes her pretty boys.
She does. I thought it was just like Friday. She's like, I'm
you know
very
how I
upset
feel
this.
about pretty boys. There aren't enough of them in the world as it is. We can't have people wantonly removing them.
Friday.
There are so many really great, like, either like one-line descriptions or like one-line thoughts from Franny in this.
Some great
Oh,
Franny-isms.
yes.
Some
Oh,
great
man.
Franny-isms.
Also,
And
at least one
descriptions of her.
fantastic description of her that I can remember.
Please.
The St. Elmo's Fire is my favorite one.
The which one?
The
Yes,
eyes
it's
as
the one I
cold
was
as
about
St.
to read.
Elmo's Fire.
Yeah. And he was momentarily afraid that she was intending to bite him with those white teeth which were bared between colourless lips. I love that description so much.
I kind of love the fact that, so for all of the like all of the very like upright, like nothing phases her that you see in a lot of the books, and you especially see in the last few books. It starts off with her getting super like she's seen death. We've established in the TV show and in the books that she has seen bodies, she has seen death. In both of them, she's been a nurse. She has been involved in the war. Like, and in this book, she's like, no, there was a kid that died in my arms for no reason. And her entire reasoning in the book is, I want to find out who killed him, so that they can hang.
It's just like it's a pure vengeance just based on how fucking dare you shoot this poor kid. He's so young. Mm-hmm. He bled out in my arms, and that's disturbing. And it's just like, all right, Franny, you've got a vendetta. You've got some things to do. I like that, because she sees the anarchist tattoo, and she's not sure what it means. She is in the episode, and I'm sure that was for expediency.
Yeah. Where
they established that it wasn't well known yet through Collins, who's like, maybe the A stands for a loved one. This, and Robinson's like, yeah, it's probably more like anarchy.
Yeah.
Good try, Collins. Jack, who's not even in the book. Does he even show up at all? If so, it's like a very brief.
They mention him in passing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on.
Which is all he is in the book so far, and I'm like, ah.
He's like been occasional conversations, and I'm like, this is even more agonizing. I was waiting for I was so ready for more of like flirt, flirt, flirt. They don't kiss, and I'm like, you're not even giving me that. How dare you, Carrie Greenwood? How dare you?
They have a fantastic line about Sasha from one of the previous books, though. Because she's talking about like her something about like the empty house, and when they're talking about going to taking the girls to the theater, and they mention Sasha, and it says something about him leaving for another country, which left Franny without a lover for all of 10 minutes.
I loved that. That was so great. I also loved that, like, I'm bringing this comparison because I've heard Carrie Greenwood make the comparison of Franny is like James Bond, but with better lovers.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love you. But that's another thing that I love is even though Franny is very much sexually open, and we've seen her go through many, many gents, they appear again in other books. Smaller roles, but they're not like cut out of her life forever. Which, okay, I know this is skipping ahead broadly, and I apologize, we'll go back. But the very end of the book, after Peter is left, she calls up Lindsay, and I was like,
yes! He's so happy!
Tiny Lindsay! Oh! He's so excited! He knows!
I was about to bring that up, but you beat me to it.
It just made me so inexplicably happy. I was like, oh, University Lindsay! Oh! Because he's just like, it makes me happy because it's like, it proves, I feel like it further cements that, yes, Franny is very much about free love and all that jazz, but she still sees her lovers as people.
Yes.
And it's not like I'm sleeping with people to compete for like how many notches in my bedpost. It's like, oh no, I really like them. I wonder if they'd be willing to come by and we'll like have some fun. And I'm like, awesome. Like, people are humans, and there's it's not like I'm gonna just, oh, I've never seen you before in my life. I actually have a way to contact you again in the fucking 1920s, and I will do so.
But also, she wasn't just like, well, my bed's empty now. Hey, Lindsay. She called her and she was like, do you want to go out dancing?
Yeah, it was like, I want companionship. I feel very, like, emotionally drained, and I need... She's like an extrovert to the nth degree. It's very much like, I thrive on other people's energy, and I need... Like, I'm never gonna see someone who I hold very dear to me ever again. And I'm just like... Also, the fact that she's that broken up about it. I'm like, Franny. Yes! And I just want to be like, this is how you do it. This is how you write somebody who's like, I'm all about multiple partners. And I'm not treating them like objects. What? You can have an emotional attachment and then still have sex with other people? What? Surely not! Fucking A, monogamy culture. Sorry.
And we're in what? We're in book 4 at the moment, and no one is criticized for it.
No. In fact, like, Mr. and Mrs. Butler have just become like, cool, this is it. And then like, all right.
I guess this is how things are.
I think it's when Peter comes in at some point, and he and Franny are like doing the like back and forth. And Mr. Butler, I believe the phrase was, goes off to give the silver a polishing like it's never had. Just like, I need something.
Almost sounds like a euphemism.
It does. It does. I actually paused it for a second. I'm like,
is he gonna go say hey up to Mrs. Butler?
That's the thing, like,
girl, let's romance the bean, as the kids say. No, that's not actually a thing.
What kids say that?
No, okay, so no, I just had to make that joke. So there is literally a coffee shop up here called Romancing the Bean, and then we said it once in a sentence, and I'm like, it does kind of sound like a euphemism for like the clitoris, doesn't it? Like, hey, or like a euphemism for like, if you're gonna go take care of business as a lady, you're just like, I'm gonna just, you know, romance the bean a little. Like, it just...
I'm keeping that.
All right. That's my gift to you. Here on
okay.
We're very mature. We talk about ways to say masturbation.
I just want to point out that right now, romance the bean is not listed on Urban Dictionary.
That is a shame.
Trendsetters.
Also, that coffee shop's quite tasty. I don't know if it's a chain or not, but it's near my work, and I do appreciate it. Anyway. Yeah, so, you know.
When creating euphemisms, try not to follow it up with a phrase that involves the word tasty.
Well, I can't lie. Their chai is quite good.
Fair enough.
Anyway. What?
Point somewhere in here.
It's an interesting thing, though. The romance between Peter and Franny is that he's very much like, I am in love with you and about the forever, and she's like, no, she's just straight up like, that's not what this is.
Yeah. There's even a line. There's even a line where she's like, why are you doing this for me? And he goes, well, because I love you. And she's like, Yeah.
But she's still sad to see him go.
Yeah.
Like, she just was like, I need to make this clear, bro. This is not the life I live. Like, the life I live is very much like multiple people, and that's me.
Yeah.
Peter Smith. All right, so Peter Smith is a Latvian that she runs into at if it's the episode, I think it's a communist meeting or something. Yeah. It's some little hideaway.
Just kind of like communist bar, I guess.
I guess it's odd because I'm not entirely sure what that location is. You just sort of accept it because Bert does, like, they never introduce it. Bert just comes in and is like, all right, are you a socialist? Are you, like, this is what I am. Are you going to come in as a socialist, a Marxist, a communist, da, da, da. And then she's like, I have a thorough knowledge of revolutionary theory and something about boo capitalism. I can't remember what she said. And they're like, that'll do. And then they just go in and they get a drink, and then they're sitting around, and then they're like, oh.
But she very directly questions Peter.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very odd. It's like they were going like it's funny because I watch it and I'm like, yeah, this makes sense to me, but only if I don't think about it too much.
Yeah.
Because really,
That
I'm like,
is very
where are
true.
they? Like, where are they? Are they just like, this seems like a bar where communists will go?
I think in the TV show, I think it was because like we've established that Bert is a communist.
Yes,
and, like,
Burton says
Yeah.
a communist, so we had
and so he
established
was like,
that.
cool, this is a communist bar.
So you really don't need to, like, I guess, elaborate further?
I guess.
But it just happens to be that, like, the Latvian revolution anarchists are there as well.
Right? You're like, what? Well, why?
There's only one bar.
There's only one.
It's a very small part of town.
In all of, where are they? Are they in Melbourne?
Melbourne.
Yeah. In all of Melbourne. Just one. Just one. If the cops find that one place, whoa.
They'll get everyone.
It's bad. It's just like, the anarchists, the communists, the socialists, fuck. They'll be bad. Which, as Burton says state, they're like, oh, the coppers would love to get their hold on that guy, because they know. That's another thing that I will point out. Is, so, okay, Peter Smith, who in this fictionalized account is supposed to be Peter the Painter. Peter the Painter is an actual historical person who did, who was in that siege back in London and then was presumed to be dead. But apparently, Carrie Greenwood, because I love listening to all the little after stuff, Carrie Greenwood had some dock worker friends, and they were like, oh, no, you know, Peter, there's some strong rumors that, yeah, Peter the Painter, he worked on the docks, like, back in the 20s, like, this is a thing that happened, and she's like, what the fuck's Peter the Painter? She's like, oh shit! So, there's at least an urban myth that, if nothing else, that, you know, after that siege in London, where he was supposed to die, he was like, fuck it, and went down to Australia. Which I guess...
It's where you send the convicts and the criminals, apparently.
Well...
I mean, it's how he started, so...
You are clearly proof of that, Des. Look at you and your wild hair.
All those banks I've been robbing and...
with your crazy fire hair and your Vulpix in the background. So full of danger.
Why did you go Irish?
I don't know. Because I'm a Callaghan. So full of danger. Anyway.
So, in the... in the book, here's one of the things, especially in relation to like that whole like how they get contact with Peter. I felt like Burton says had a lot more agency in the book.
Yes.
Because they went off on their own. They didn't have Franny. They went off on their own. They read the brother. Cool. Hey, here's this guy. We know that he's like murdered multiple people. We know this is not someone that we want to piss off or get on the wrong side of. Hey, guess who we're going to go walk up to and ask about somebody being killed? This seems like a good idea. We might die. Great. And, like, have that conversation. And then they're like, cool, yep, we're done. That was one drink enough. Bye. And then kind of leave the bar. And I like the fact that they get more agency in the books.
Yes.
Like, I really like, they're like, cool, yes, we are going to help. We're also like, you can't walk into this bar. It's okay if you don't look at it too closely, and I feel like that was them being like, you can't do this.
Yeah, like, it works for the show and for the brevity they must take with it, but I will say, when you start to think about it, and, like, now, like, having read up a bit on Peter the Painter and read this book, I'm like, there is no way Bert and Cess would know that.
Yeah,
Oh, God, no.
Like, they might have suspected it, but, like, the fact they're like, that's Peter the Painter. I'm like, no!
No!
That would never happen! Never!
The idea of him being in Melbourne's still just, like, rumor.
Yeah, it's still just a rumor, because in the book, and there's something I really liked, where Peter the Painter was mentioned very offhandedly with like, oh yeah, this guy did this, da, 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 da. Oh, all right, cool. And then you met Peter Smith at a different, at a party. And of course we're all going, because we're like, oh yeah, that's Peter the Painter. Because,
Well, you were.
Oh, all right.
Well, we discussed that earlier.
To which my brain went like, oh, you have, like, I wasn't entirely sure, but I'm like, no, you've got to be Peter the Painter, because you are the only other Peter that's been mentioned in this book, and I know how this story structure works. But I'm like, you're probably, or you're a red herring, who knows. But the thing is, when we find out his identity in the book, it's through a series of convoluted stuff. There is a part where they're at a seance, and the Latvians are using this fortune teller as a means of passing on information about when they're going to do bank robberies, and it's said by, one of them passes information through Peter the Painter, and one of the girls is like, well, I know she's a fake, and Franny's like, well, how? And she realizes, oh, 'cause she's like, well, that's not how Peter died. And she's like, how do you know that? She's like, oh, 'cause Peter's not dead. And
so I read this entire scene very differently, because I kind of read it as like everyone kind of knew that Peter was still alive, and this was their way of getting messages from whoever Peter the Painter is to them. Like, to keep that whole, like, you've got that, like, separation, as many people not knowing who other people are directly. So that was their way of funneling messages.
See, I definitely read it as basically using, basically accepting, okay, Peter's dead, whatever, and we're just using that name as a, way of passing the messages.
I think that's what it is, but I feel like Dez's makes more sense.
Yes.
Like, I understand, like, that's not what happened, but I like that, because I couldn't quite figure out how exactly the fortune teller fit into any of it. Yeah. Like, obviously she's getting money, probably, but I'm like, but why this fortune teller, who is not Latvian, and why, like...
Yeah, who's not Latvian, doesn't like foreigners. Kiri, you've gone blurry.
I don't know where I am in life.
But
lost focus.
So, like, in my head, it was Peter the Painter, or whoever was using that name, being the one organizing, like, the robbery.
Yeah.
So it didn't make sense for Peter Smith to be Peter the Painter.
See, that would make sense, but I think it was a matter of they were using that name because Peter the Painter used to organize all the stuff. And now whoever was helping with that, they're like, ah, crap, we can't do this in a meeting. We gotta do this elsewhere. Because Peter knew how they used to... He's like, oh yeah, we used to do it that way, and then we'd alter the time by, like, whatever.
It was a day minus 2 hours.
Yeah.
Or something, yeah.
So, like, clearly he used... I'm wondering if he used... Like, this is how they used to do it back then, and they're still doing it that way, and he's like, nah, bro, I'm not a part of that anymore.
Yeah, because he made the mention that they might have changed the calculation. They've probably changed the calculation. And he wanted to know whether the one that Franny had been given, was it modified, or was it, like, exactly what the person was told?
Yes. So, that whole thing... Franny asks around. Franny gets some attention on her. They try to kidnap her.
They get Dot instead.
No. In the book, they try first to kidnap her, and she
she turns Franny Destroyer of Groins.
It's amazing.
In the book, the description.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Oh, I don't even have those parts that were attacked, and it hurt.
Tell us how you really feel, Des.
It was
You
no.
doing okay? You doing okay there, buddy? You doing good? He's not doing good.
Not.
He's not.
So all the while during this madness with the Latvians and trying to kind of figure that out, because Franny's not super on this case. She kind of is, but she's more assisting Hugh Collins, who's like, I'm on this thing, and yes.
Sorry. The stream just caught up to my flailing. So I just saw me flailing in the corner of my arm, like.
Yes, you flail. You flail so well. I love your flailing. So here, oh shoot, Hugh. God, this is so hard to talk about and talk through. So we're gonna take a brief break from the Latvians because Hugh walked home, or took Phryne home, and then because he was shaken, Mr. Butler was like, I will give you tea and stuff until you calm down. And that is when he and Dot met. And we don't get to witness much of their first meeting, but we get to hear about it after. And Dot is very clearly smitten. And she's like...
That nice young constable is coming in at 11, miss, and I thought you'd prefer rolls and marmalade today. Phryne thought she detected a blush on her maid's cheek.
Because apparently they were up talking. They were apparently up talking. Also something I find interesting that the show decided to make a conflict of, and maybe because they're too cute, we need to have some sort of a conflict for them to work through. Oh, I found my focus again. Is the fact that they're both Catholic.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
They don't have the Protestant Catholic conflict that they do in the show, so I was like, interesting. I was kept waiting.
I was going to say, the church in the show is also a Catholic church, and it's a Protestant church in the book.
Yes.
Yes.
Because she makes a comment about, like, when she's talking to Dot about, like, I don't know what I have to, like, be in a church and, like, not offend these people. And she was like, well, if you do this and this and this, and she's like, I don't think that's the thing. Like, they're not Catholic, they're Protestant. She goes, oh, I didn't know they even had nuns. Like,
right? that was a consistently fun. She's like, neither did I, and it was like this beautiful little moment of they're both like, oh, weird.
But like they did some interesting like religious flip arounds between the book and the show.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right. I'm okay with the. Given knowing what I know about Hugh's journey, I'm okay with them changing it because I do like this idea of them having a conflict. But oh my gosh. When the description, and I don't have it. When he gets home and his mother tries to give him an earful. The description of like, does she ask who is she? I think.
Yeah.
And he just, the way Carrie Greenwood describes his expression just made me fall in love with Hugh, of just like the pausing, the smile, and then just
I thought I
highlighted
that one.
And you're like, I'm fine. I'm not fine.
I really love that, like, because in shows you get so much in terms of chemistry between characters and like innate like body language and responses, and like it doesn't always translate to books.
It doesn't.
Like, honestly, the descriptions don't always translate to books, and it feels sometimes like either it's forced and it's being over described because they're like, look at how cute they are, I want you to think that they're cute, or it just doesn't translate as being quite as much chemistry. This one translated really well.
So well.
Yeah.
Hugh and Dot translated so well.
They didn't hit you over the head with it, but then there's like, I just oh yeah, please.
She then realized that she had lost her ascendancy and snapped, "Who is she?" and received such a vague and delighted smile in return that she was quite quenched. She took herself to bed without another word.
A vague, what is it? A vague and
delighted smile.
Because I know exactly what that face is, and I can picture it on the actor who plays him. Of just sort of like, I don't have anything for you. I'm just like, I'm just happy. And I'm like, I'm totally fine right now.
But it's such a perfectly relatable moment, because it's not tried to express from his point of view how you feel, but everyone knows that moment that they've had where someone's asked you about your evening and you've just got that like internal glow that you don't necessarily know how you want to answer, but you've just got that
to answer, you know?
Yeah.
But you can feel it just like that, like, it was great. It was good. And like that's all you say as you like float off to bed, and you're just like,
and you can't leave the other person going like, and you're just like, I'm fine.
And I appreciate that they described that moment through her eyes rather than him expressing it, because I feel like gave you such a clear picture of it.
I mean, I think something else that actually makes them translate so well is that in both of them, we aren't super internal for Dot and Hugh. In both cases, we experience their relationship from the outside.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's just, I'm good.
And lots of, like, snarky Phryne about the whole thing.
So much snarky Phryne. And she's like,
oh my. She's just like, oh, do you
Phryne
think that
comments
like that?
What is it? Phryne, like, teasing Dot, and Dot just responds with, I wish you'd detect a little less sometimes, miss.
I love that, because she's like...
They kept that line in the show, too.
Yes?
I noticed something when they're talking about, when Jack and Collins are talking about Yorka's death. And I rewatched this scene like 5 or 6 times because I was not sure. Because Jack asks if there's any relationship between, like, if there was any relationship between the protests at the dock and Yorka. And Collins responds, and I'm like 99% sure I'm right here. He never even worked at the Dot. I thought I'd misheard the first time, and I rewatched that scene like 5 or 6 times. And it might just be me, like, really wanting it. But, like, I'm 90% sure he says Dot, not Doc.
It might be his accent, but that makes me so happy. I'm just like, oh, do we have a little slip there, Hugh? What's happening?
And
you doing okay, buddy?
It's my new headcanon.
You know what? I accept it. Accepted. Done and done. That is what happens. Anyway.
So since we did bring up the religion thing with Hugh and like in the church and all of that, there is a much different religious slant in the books than there is in the show.
Yes.
Because so in the book, the girl who's disappeared has wanted desperately to be a nun, and she's expressed this multiple times over and over. She's even said it, I think, in school about wanting to be a nun. And so when she disappears, they go and they talk to the convent initially. And they're told by the Mother Superior, oh, we haven't seen her. We haven't seen her in like 3 weeks. Also, that the way that her friends are described make them seem very, very young.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very childlike.
Like, it's...
She has a burn book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone calls it a diary, but it's a burn book.
It's a burn book.
It's a book. She basically finds out everybody's secrets and then blackmails them with it.
And I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of okay that they took that out.
Yeah.
Of the show, because I was kind of looking at that going, do you really want to be a nun? Like, I kind of worry what will happen to those poor nuns if you go to a convent.
Yeah.
Or did maybe she start doing that after she got taken out of that school? It was a little unclear.
It was a little vague.
Because it didn't sound like she'd ever blackmailed, like, her friends at the convent. I'm going, you seem like you know a much different Alicia than the other, like, than Mary. What's Mary's fucking last name? Who cares?
No, yeah, but yeah.
Who's like, very whiny.
Mm-hmm.
Shut up, Mary.
Yeah, so they had all of that, and then in terms of all of that, the religious aspect for her came from her mother having gone crazy, and being sent to an asylum, having claimed that she'd seen visions and all of these things prior to that, and the stepmother playing on that to make her think that she's crazy.
I feel like the stepmother was a bit more conniving in the show than she was in the book.
She was a really character in the book.
In the book, I'm just kind of like, it didn't make sense how she managed to bring her back and then be like, we're gonna go see a doctor. And
Yeah.
It seemed a little more out of the blue than going like, okay, so you've caught us, but your mom went crazy. So guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make you think you've gone crazy. And with the freaking, oh, how did she make the tears?
Glycerin.
That was fucking conniving as shit.
It was glycerin and clear powder.
Like, that's creepy.
Yeah. Like the stepmother was way more involved and way more malicious.
Yeah. Like, with her little doe-eyed, like, oh. And I'm not sure how I really thought of her. Like, because in the book, I'm like, okay, you're fucking a 14-year-old. And that's probably where your kids came from. Because let's be honest, your husband's in his late 70s or mid-70s or whatever. It's probably not from him. And it's just this thought of, like, I don't know who she is in the book, if that makes sense. Like,
I don't remember her being really a character.
She's kind of puppeted about, and she's kind of, like, it just sort of feels like, especially given the fact that Paul sounds like he was kind of forcing himself on his sister. I don't know.
It's really unclear.
It didn't sound super mutual, or at least that it wasn't her idea at first, especially given the fact that I'm like, okay, and then he's like kind of feeling up Phryne or trying to do something. And so it kind of makes me go like, are we basically postulating that a 14-year-old boy has now like come on to like 3 different people, including a sister, some random stranger who's been there for less than an hour, and his stepmother? Because she doesn't, like, she clearly wants to keep it a secret. And she does stuff to keep it, like, she puts her in the insane asylum, which seems like a very random, like, I don't know how she really got the idea for it. Like, I'll say you're crazy.
Because also, like, the mother having gone crazy isn't a thing in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, it didn't quite seem as supported. So I don't really know who this woman is. I know she's a bad person because she...
I'd kind of picked her as being, like, involved in the whole thing very early on in the book. And I don't know if anyone else found this, but I'd kind of picked the baby as being Paul's very early on.
Oh, yeah, no, I assumed, even in the... Because when I saw the show, I kind of assumed that based on the way she, like, would touch her stomach, that it was probably Paul's, but it wasn't, and the dad's, like, obvious.
I've been so blessed. I'm so lucky for this to happen. I'm like, okay, you think it's a borderline miracle that this happened. I'm like, storyline-wise, like, not yours.
Yep, there's, like, no way.
I feel like she's a much more distinct character in the book. Like, she had a lot more, I don't know, she stood out a lot more. Like, when I'm thinking about
the book or the episode?
In the episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because in the book, I honestly, like, she feels like one of those characters to me that was talked about a lot, but wasn't really present and didn't really do things.
Yeah, like, we know like, she took her to, we know somehow she got her to the asylum. But I don't know how.
That's the confusing part.
Because in the other one, like, it makes sense of, like, okay, you convince this girl she's crazy by showing her other things of, like, see, you're crazy. So what else you thought you saw? You were crazy. Let's take you over here. As opposed to, she was still, until they picked her up, like, that day, like, she still didn't believe that she hallucinated that stuff. But she just stopped openly protesting it because she's like, well, this doesn't get me anywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
she'd asked
the diatribe from that doctor.
Oh, fuck that doctor and his gaslighting ass.
Yes. That whole thing about, like, well, no, you just have to, basically he was like, no, you just tell her that she's wrong until she agrees with you. And you lock her in a room and you don't give her enough food.
It's so
messy. Was basically his answer. I'm just like, wow. And he's the one that quote about the about Phryne's description that you had earlier about her very white teeth between her.
Yes.
That was about him.
Was that?
Yeah. I am like 99% sure that was.
I thought it was the guard at the docks. Because it's only at like 4% in.
Maybe it was. I thought something similar to that was toward the doctor, but yeah, no, just that whole thing with the doctor. I'm just like, wow, oh man, I hate you. You're not really in this book, but wow, I hate you.
Like, it's he's horrible. And like, I feel like, well, we've all encountered that guy at some point.
Oh yeah.
On some level or not. So yeah, no, but the mom, I feel like she's a very... I get she did what she had to do, but like, things don't seem like she never really takes responsibility for it, nor does she really ever get fully called out for it.
She doesn't seem super invested in it.
Yeah, it's literally like, I did this to make sure my husband didn't find out the baby's not his, but at the same time she seems very like not really super committed to keeping her there.
Yeah.
Like it just seemed like like, I don't know.
I think that in this case I think the TV show did a better job.
Cuz they're like, we're going to make this a very deliberate thing you did, as opposed to it just seemed like, I'm going to put her in an insane asylum. I don't know. It's just like, I don't know, it's weird. It's a little weird.
Well, I guess I've been found out now, so...
And fucking Waddington Forsythe, as I will refer to him because he is the book Waddington Forsythe, that motherfucker, who is so delusional that even at the end, when he calls Phryne and we find out that Paul has now run away, after saying, by the way, I fucked your wife... first of all, I'm upset that... I know this might be me holding this shit to too high a standard, I don't know. But I'm like, okay, so either Paul... Something happened to Paul, or Paul, like, forced himself on his sister, and then I don't know. I don't like the fact that Paul got away without any medical help.
Yeah.
At the very least, because I'm like, Paul's got some shit going on. Because... I feel like a normal 14-year-old boy doesn't go, I'm gonna get with my sister. And the way that she talked about it didn't really sound like the most consenting thing.
Yeah.
It sounded like she'd just been like, well, I'm also to blame, and da-da-da-da. And it's like, nah, bro, the way you're talking about this kind of sounds like he was like, let's do this, and you weren't sure what to say. And I'm like... And then I'm not okay with the fact that he gets away, and I'm also not okay with the fact that Waddington Forsythe is so delusional that even though his son has now been like, this happened, yo, peace, he's still like, I need you to go find my son and ask why he's spreading this lie. And I'm like,
yeah.
So that never comes to light. Like, never comes to light that this woman threw a 14-year-old girl in fucking insane asylum, that she's been having sex with her stepson. Like, it bothers me that no one really in the B plot gets justice.
I was gonna say, that plot doesn't really feel resolved.
It doesn't. It's just like, Phryne is like, I've saved the girl, that's all I really cared about. I'm done with this family. Yeah. And she literally tells Mr. Butler, I am never home for this man. Fuck him. And I'm just like, but this thread is not fully resolved, Phryne. What's happening? Like, it bothers me that you...
I wonder if it's going to come up again.
I don't know. Because at this point, now that we've, like, literally had Lindsay return in a way that I feel was, like, more than, like, oh, I'm just going to go... Like, I still clearly talk to Lindsay. It makes me go, all right, who else is going to show up?
Yeah.
Like, is maybe, like, I assumed wrongly, apparently, that these were more of, like, a serial series where they're very self-contained. You don't really, like, have any crossover from previous books. Kind of like the old Nancy Drews, where, like, technically they happened in a linear fashion, but they were never really self-referenced the other ones. So that's what I assumed. Apparently not. Which I'm very happy about, to be honest.
When we get to the end of discussing about this book, will bring me to my terrifying theories of what I think is going to happen in the future.
No! Is this what we talked about? Where you were like, yes!
Yeah,
Ah!
What?
Okay. Okay, no.
I hate the theory so much,
Des
but I'm
and
so
I
scared
discussed
of
this
right.
and we were like, no. Okay. So I think that's pretty much that particular plot. There's some stuff in it
Yeah.
where like you find out like Ruth and Jane come back and they talk a little bit and it's a little weird. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about both of them being there, and it just seems an odd dynamic.
It also feels like I'm adopting this girl because I feel strongly about it. Oh, and I guess I'm getting that one too.
Right?
Like
it's a twofer.
Jane feels like an afterthought.
Ruth
Look,
feels like an afterthought.
Ruth,
But
sorry.
notably, Franny at least does note that she is pleased with the excellent condition of her strays.
Yes, I do love that phrase. Oh my
Yes.
god damn it, Franny. And they're talking about like, oh hey, we can get this. They're so already kind of conniving.
I mean, they figured out how to mark all the cards in a deck so they could cheat at
Yeah!
poker.
I
At
love
like
that.
13. They're like, we didn't mean to cheat, we just thought it looked interesting.
So funny. And I love that Franny is the only one who is like,
She didn't notice until she like
She picked up
properly
the cards.
checked, because she was like, the child has a gift for gambling, and then she's like, wait.
Yeah, she picks up the cards and she's like, this feels like it's been marked with a fingernail or something.
so great.
And
So
like,
great.
Okay, I have
Jane
the random diatribe we have into Baba Yaga.
Yes!
Because for some, A, Lost Girl, B, Russian folklore. I
Oh,
really
yes,
like
right,
Baba
yeah.
Yaga, but also, why did we spend almost an entire chapter on Baba Yaga?
I don't know, which made me then go like, all right, that actually makes me worry about Dez's theory, because I'm like,
Yeah.
there's some Baba Yaga stuff that's gonna fucking happen to these two girls down the line. This is some sort of foreshadowing. Oh no! I thought you knew that! Or
I hadn't put that together.
yeah, so I'm like going, I feel like this is foreshadowing for a further book. I'm not sure what, but I feel like, I don't know. Because Peter tells them the story of Baba Yaga, but he's also talking about kind of his own life.
And the revolution. And,
The allegory, like, I love that, I can't remember if it's Ruth or Jane, but they're like,
I love the fact that they got to the end of it and the evil, like this evil witch dies and one of the girls goes, oh, the poor witch. And he's like, what, child?
yeah, he's very confused by these children that Franny is raising. It's so great.
It sounds like, which one would it be? I now need to know.
That would have been both of us. All of us.
Poor witch.
Oh, poor witch.
I think that was
I want to
that
say
was
it's Jane.
I'm pretty sure that was Jane.
I'm hoping it's Jane.
It's a very Jane. It was just like, oh. Not that would have been all of us. What?
What? No.
What? Oh.
Oh, definitely not.
Anyway. So. Oh yeah, because they.
Oh.
And that moment comes from Peter because
It is
they're
Jane.
Waiting. Yeah.
And she squeaks it. She's like, "Oh, poor witch."
You're like, oh.
And,
So going back to the Latvians. Oh yes, what?
This had evidently not been the effect which the teller had expected. He gave Jane a startled look, then continued. She's like,
I like how he just chooses to ignore it. Like Anyway. It was.
Okay.
I will say this book overall felt, because I know we all had some issues with the last one or two, about them feeling kind of like haphazard and not quite all there. This book felt like it was the most like intentionally put together.
Yeah.
Like, I might not have been super happy with the resolution of the B plot, but also like it felt like it was there for a reason. Both of the storylines did. I'm also fascinated by Carrie Greenwood's, like, I have a Maid storyline. I also have a really substantial B storyline.
Yeah, it's interesting because honestly, I don't often see that in... Here's the thing. I see that in mystery television. I rarely see that in books. So the fact
especially
that,
episodic books.
It makes me be like, were you hoping this was going to eventually be turned into a series? Because, like, heck, look at Poirot's books. I don't know if you've read a ton, but, like, there's no real, like, B-plot happening. Murder on the Orient Express, it's like, this is what we're dealing with.
Yeah. And that tends to be the way that, especially slightly older murder mystery stories go, is the stories about the mystery.
Yeah, you occasionally get, like, some, like, you'll get a little bit about the main character and whatnot, but there's no real, like, also another crime is happening. And I find it interesting.
Or if there is, they're actually the same one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So far, if I recall, I think the B plot has not been murder every time, correct? It's been like someone missing or
it's usually missing person.
Yeah. I don't think we've had 2 murders in one thing.
No, it's usually something that is slightly different.
Okay.
But up until I think like there's been some relationship between them. Like a lot of the time, like there's the person was at the airport and they saw Franny and she was apparently, and that's so there's usually that relationship, and that might have been like to begin with an attempt at subverting the whole that they're actually the same thing.
Yeah.
True.
And it just turned into a style.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. So we're
also. I was just going to say, just the time that these were being written, that wasn't, like, the early 90s weren't really a time for, like, book series turned TV show.
No.
Other than, like, Goosebumps is the only thing I can think of, but that's also just because that's what I would have been watching. But
I think Sweet Valley as well.
Okay, yeah. But again, it's not like... It seems more likely that it just turned out to be her style.
No, that's fair.
Than...
Because I'm, like, thinking about, like, the murder mysteries that were even going on at the time. Like, Murder, She Wrote doesn't have really a B-plot. It's all, like, this one... The main... Yeah, so I find that very intriguing that she's got, like, a good balance. And I'm wondering if it's maybe because she's got such an ensemble cast that way it's easier to be like, all right, you guys are going to go take care of this. We're going to go take care of this. All right. And you do get this feeling like there is no such thing as, like, a relaxed day for the Franny Fisher household. Like, everybody's got shit to do.
Mac is not technically in the book, but she does take the girls to the theater.
Yes.
Oh.
I like that she's just kind of like this. Oh, she's around, and she like she does things.
Like she exists, and it makes me happy because I love Mac. Life goals, wife goals, y'all.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So back to the Latvians, because that's the more complicated plot. Oh, is it complicated? Okay. So they try to capture her. It does not work. She's like, all right, everybody. No one goes anywhere alone. Y'all stay safe. It gets convoluted, and I feel like it doesn't actually have to be convoluted. But it, like, I get why it is, but the long and short of it is essentially like, all right, I'm going to go to the morgue, and I'm going to meet his fiance, who is his cousin.
Yep.
I was like, there's more incest in this book than there needs to be.
There really is.
Like, I get that, like, during that time period, it was probably, like, a second cousin or something. I don't even know. She just said cousin, if I recall, so you don't really know. But, like, I'm like, okay, so you're probably not... it was probably acceptable, but I'm going, there's too much incest happening here.
So much.
There's a lot.
So much incest, you guys. And then we never see her again, other than, like... Okay, so I feel bad for his fiance, whose name I cannot remember. Which is a way to phrase that. Because the only other time we see her is when Bert goes to the other safe house, because they're trying to find where Dot has been taken. And there's this other safe house where there's a girl sitting crying thinking that she is killed, like, that Phryne is dead because of her.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no! And no one tells her differently because she leaves the house. And so I just hope that at some point she finds a newspaper, because we know Phryne at some point is going to again end up in the newspaper because it's Phryne fucking Fisher.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just want her to know she's alive. It's not your fault. I'm sorry. Like, because Bert just dismisses her as crazy. And I'm like,
yeah.
Because she thinks Dot is Phryne. And she's like, okay, well then, because she knows that, like, they've got someone. So she's like, oh no, they're going to kill her.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I feel really bad for her.
Okay, but, like, my question is, why were they keeping Phryne alive exactly? I mean, I appreciate it.
You mean Dot?
Yeah, but like, sorry, from their perspective, like, why were they keeping Phryne alive?
I thought it was because they were using it as, like...
Oh, the hostage at the...
Yeah.
But, like, do you go to bank robberies with, like, a pre-set up hostage?
Well, I guess if it...
Like, do you bring your own? I didn't realize that they were, like...
allows you to. I'm wondering if they were doing it because they figured it would keep anyone away from trying to stop the robbery. Because...
But, I mean, there's people at banks you can use for that.
No. I'm wondering if, like, the people... Because Phryne knew about the robbery.
Oh, in terms of who had knowledge to, like, stop it.
So maybe they were like, okay, we want to know that, but also maybe it was a matter of we want to make sure that they know we have you, so they aren't going to do anything stupid.
Yeah, it was their insurance. It was their insurance that, like,
the people who already knew something was going to happen weren't going to try and stop it. That's the thing that that's my only guess.
Yeah, because you're inevitably, like, going to be more, just that little bit more concerned. Because people are about someone you know being held hostage.
What I don't understand, and I'm so glad, I was, like, shouting shit at my audiobook, so I'm glad that sorry, I'm gonna put a pin in this. I just need to say, like, I'm very glad that something was done. But who fucking keeps the gun in the same room? Like, who does that? Why are you this stupid? You deserve to have it sabotaged. I get it didn't have the ammo. I get it didn't have the ammo, but I'm like, surely you have somewhere else you can hide that gun. Because you're just leaving these two people in there with a gun that I'm like, alright, like, here's the thing. If I knew I was gonna die, I'd be like, alright, there's gotta be something I can do to this gun that's gonna make it ineffective. I would have peed in it if I had to.
They one, left her in the room with the gun. Right. 2, left her with her stuff.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like how did she have a nail file?
Miss Fisher there, the one who's causing them trouble, and they're like, she'll be fine with her bag. It's not like she'll have anything in there. It's not
like she's a female 1920s MacGyver, y'all. It's fine. But, like, she's already thwarted you. She's already, like, defended herself. You really don't think? Like, what were you weren't thinking. I get that. Like, I'm just so confused why the gun was left in there. And they weren't describing doing anything with it. They were just like, and I'm like going, so I kept being like, do something to it. Like, fucking rust it. Pee on it. I don't care. Get the inside. No, but seriously, like, you know, because I don't know if it would work with that kind of gun, but I know with a handgun, if you get certain parts of it wet, it's not gonna be super functional. So I was like, fuck with it. Like, do something. And they weren't doing anything, and I was mad. And then Phryne goes to break her out, and they don't try to get it out the window, and then I'm equally annoyed, and I'm like, what are you doing? But then I realized, oh, they didn't take it with them because they want them to do the robbery, because then they get caught doing the robbery, and then they can be arrested. And I was like, okay, but you caught them doing kidnapping. Isn't that bad enough? Maybe
apparently not.
I don't know. It's very strange. But okay, fine. Because this scene, I love this scene where they go to the safe house. Because this scene is the scene where Hugh Collins shows that he may be a timid little first-timer with bodies, but he's pretty brilliant. And he, like, goes and he knocks on the door and is like, so I just wanted to talk to you guys about your car, because we've been having some vandals, and I saw that you're, like, because Phryne had done something to the headlight, or...
Yeah.
No, she shot the tire. Oh, no, Bert shot the tire when they were driving off with her. So he's like, I saw your tire was blown out, and he was, like, keeping him away from the window while Phryne's getting the two girls out. I'm just gonna call her... I don't know if her name is Nina, but I think it is.
It's Nina. It's Nina with her in the safe house.
So Nina, who is in love with... Is his name Bill? Is that
Bill,
right?
yeah.
Bill.
Yeah.
He's in love with the big Bill. The cane sugar guy. That's what he does with the cane
And they want to
sugar.
fuck off to Queensland.
They do. They want to fuck off to Queensland, and they're adorable because she's tiny and he's apparently huge.
Oh, can I go on a momentary segue?
Yes.
So I assume most people here have played Cards Against Humanity at some point.
If by most people here you mean the two of us, then yes.
I also mean, like, people watching. In the American version of the game, there's the card which is like getting old, retiring, and fucking off to Florida.
So is that Queensland?
Our version's Queensland.
Getting old, retiring, and fucking off to Queensland.
Florida of Australia?
It's the one with crocodiles.
Is it where all the
it's stupidly
people
hot.
are?
It's humid. You know, I don't know.
Is it?
I
Oh my
don't know.
god! I think Queensland is the Australian Florida.
Certainly,
I don't know why that makes me
climate-wise.
happy, but it really does.
It's where your people are, Zoe.
Oh,
You weird
God.
swamp witch. But I love you. Okay, so so rescues them, and then they like go back and they're like, oh shit, they escaped. And by this point they've run and grabbed they've got in the car, they're driving off, and he's so happy because he's got Dot, and he's like, she's okay, all right. And they're like, oh, we should put a step on it. And he's like, no rush. And he holds up a piece that he stole off the car.
I'm so proud of him.
That, like, I love that. Like, he stole off the car to be like, we're good. They can't follow us. And I'm just like...
I love the fact that, first of all, Hugh had to get permission to have a live gun.
Yes.
Second, Phryne was like, cool, it's this caliber, right? Yes.
Oh, no. So that's for the next bit. That's for the bank robbery. Yes, sorry. Because no one believes them, even though they've got all this fucking info. And
Yeah.
So yes, right before, they're like, all right, well, he gets permission. Like, no one's gonna be at the bank, but Collins gets permission to be there with a gun. And Phryne says...
Phryne asks what caliber his gun is, and incidentally, makes sure that she has a gun that is the exact same caliber.
Which she got off
She
Peter.
gets it off Peter, yeah. And then it's like, so you're gonna stay here? And he's like, oh no, wait, no. She says that to everybody else. And then they leave. And then Peter...
She promises them that after this, then she will let them do whatever they want and she will be nice and quiet. But for tonight, they must all stay home.
Yes.
Yes.
And then Peter, like, waits for them to leave, and then goes, okay, see ya. And they're like, they said to stay. He's like, no. She made you all promise to not go anywhere. I made no promise. And leaves. And Mr. Butler's like, all right, locking up behind you, dude. Like, all right. And then we get to the bank, where Collins is standing out with flowers and being told to check his watch, so he looks like he's supposed to be waiting for someone, and he keeps getting very pitiful looks from people going, oh, you got stood up. As they go to the bank. And then Phryne's on the inside, and she's like, okay, we're waiting. And this is one thing I appreciated that I was very upset the episode did not do. First of all, that they were trying to keep it out of the actual bank. But the episode, there was a mix-up, and that's how they decided to get Jack out of the picture, which I understand because Jack is more involved in the episodes. So they're like, we need Jack not to be at the bank. How do we do that? Oh, we get a mix-up of two banks. Okay.
Yeah.
And so they go to that one, and then they go to the other one. but they're waiting inside, which bothers me because after reading the book, I'm like, that was a much better plan.
It was a really good plan.
Because they're basically just waiting for people with their backs not to the entrance, which seemed troublesome. Because I'm like, guys, what are you doing? You're waiting for bank robbers. Why is your back to the door? That seems dumb. But another thing I appreciate is the Latvians are carrying a rolled up rug in which they are hiding this massive machine gun, and I'm like, thank you! Because they just come in the episode, and I'm like, how did you do that? That's a giant fucking gun.
Yeah.
Did no one notice this?
Like, that is a very good point. Like, I did not understand in that moment. Wait, no, really. How did you get in there?
Because this thing is like the height of a human.
It is, and I had accepted it in the show originally. I've like, because I was just like, I'm watching it, and then as the book said, like, you know, the rolled up carpet, and I was like, huh.
Because you know what happens if you walk into a building with a rolled up carpet? People assume it's going somewhere in the building.
Right? No one assumes that there's any, like, as opposed to, I walked in with a gun that clearly had no cover on it ever, and I'm like, but how did you just, like, drive up a van and then get out of the van and then run in through the door? Like,
yeah.
How was this done? So many questions. So, the rolled up friggin' carpet, and Hugh's like, ah! And, like, there is struggle, and Hugh's just being a badass, having no knowledge that Dot sabotaged the gun.
I have a note here.
Go.
Which was just my thoughts when I was thinking over the episode. It's just like, Collins probably gets a medal, but Dot is the real MVP.
No, but really though?
Seriously.
Like,
serious.
she is the real MVP. It's like my main takeaway from this is that Dot is the real MVP.
This entire book, Dot has been fantastic.
Yes, she's really coming into her own as like part of the Phryne posse. Like, she's not along for the ride as a maid. She's like, she did some shit.
There's even a moment where she's been kidnapped instead of Phryne, where she laughs. Where they're in the middle of, like, she's got a bag over her head, she doesn't know where she is, and she suddenly realizes that they all think that she's Phryne. And she giggles.
She's like, that's funny.
And she has that...
And then she starts crying, but first, she's like...
Really?
No.
She's like, they're fucked.
Well, you're fucked. Oh, I like that. Oh.
And she walks in and they're like, here's Miss Fisher. And Nina goes to say something. And Dot's just kind of like...
No, I'm so Miss Fisher. I am the most Miss Fishery Miss Fisher there ever fished.
But also, I love that in keeping with how much her personality translated between the show and the book, she did all of this great stuff. She sabotaged the gun, and she forgot to tell Hugh.
Yes.
And she was like, I did all of the things.
Oh, wait.
Hey, come back.
She's just so sweet, and I feel like this is because when she first showed up, we didn't get her, like, the first book, we got her with, like, the fury of, I will attack and kill this man, but that was, like, a crime of passion, not a decision to, I'm going to do this dangerous thing. And I feel like this is, because in the show we got it where she was volunteering to pretend to be needing an abortion so she could help out Phryne.
Yeah.
Whereas this one I feel is like the first time, and I might be wrong, first time Dot's really been like, I mean, she didn't really accept it, but she just sort of was like, this is the situation I'm in, I'm gonna make the most of it. And like really like went for that of like, we can see that Phryne's ingenuity
Really
like is, and she's like, okay, really taking control of her destiny, and I'm just like, fuck yes, Dot, yes, I love you. And then, since you brought up the bullets, would you like to talk about the fact that Peter shows up and what happens and then how that's covered up?
So, we have this whole questionable bank robbery situation going on. In the midst of this struggle with Hugh, honestly, this entire section for some reason is very blurry, so I might need help with this.
It's very, to be fair, like, it happens in a blur. Like, they do it very much like it's a gunfight. So
yeah. They
actually do a surprisingly good job of like, this happens and this happens and this happens, this is happening, well, this is happening, and like it have very much in the book has that feel of like everything's happening on top of each other, which unfortunately makes it slightly blurry in my memory. But essentially, what is it that I just did the same thing that Duz did, where I saw myself flailing out the corner of my eye and got it's that partway through the fight of all of this, Friday pulls out her gun and ends up shooting the two Latvians that are holding everyone at gunpoint.
Yes, because what I recall happens is Peter gets shot.
Yes, that's right.
And you end up finding out it's Friday who's shot, but the way it's written, it just sounds like Peter gets shot, and then the two Latvians go boom, boom, in the heart and down.
Yeah.
Yes.
And because you don't realize that, like, you're like, oh shit, Peter's dead. And then later, the constable is talking with his supervising officer, who is not Jack, which makes me go, is he going to get promoted and they're going to start working together? Like, I'm wondering if that's what's going to trigger it, because this is like... this is a big
it mentions
thing.
he's probably going to get a medal.
Probably going to get a medal, so I'm like, all right, yeah, do the thing, move him over, yeah, do it. Anyway, I'm excited.
But but they're talking about how about the two men who got shot, and where did the bullets come from, and if we do an autopsy on them, will we find that they have 45 caliber bullets in them?
Yeah, and Colin's like, yes, sir. And
yes, sir.
He's like, let me see your gun, and he looks, and there are two bullets missing, and the I think is he a captain? I can't remember. Yeah. But he makes a very interesting remark of like, yeah, these bullets are very clean. Like, he's just like, oh, these new bullets shoot very cleanly. Like, because the gun looks like it's never been fired. And he's like, yes, sir. Yeah. And they have this moment where they're just like, all right. And like,
and then they move on.
If forensics can't prove it, we're not. And you're like going, okay, so then I guess Phryne did it. And then later you find out that Peter's alive, and they're all hanging out in the Phryne household, and he's like, it was an amazing shot, and you were like, she's like, I thought they killed you. I wasn't even thinking. Like, she just apparently was like, went berserker Phryne, was like, you killed my lover, boom, boom, and I'm like, oh, Phryne.
So I caught that like right as. Like, when they were like, and the two men went down, like, holy shit, Phryne just shot both of them through the heart.
Yeah.
Like, she just went up higher on the people not to fuck with. Like, but also, if somebody in the middle of a firefight, a knee-jerk reaction and adrenaline is like, to the heart, 2 shots, 1, 2, done.
Done.
Don't mess with that girl.
No.
No.
She's scary.
So good.
Scary.
So good. Yeah, I'm a girl. Like, Phryne. So great. Anyway, made me very happy.
Did.
And then we have a very tearful wrap up.
Yeah.
Because everyone's kind of saying goodbye, and like, Bill and Nina are going off to Queensland, and Peter's got to go with them because he's like, I can't stay here. I need to like, because he purposefully faked his death.
Yeah.
Like, he definitely got shot, but he's like, I pretended like it was worse than it was. Because then he was taken away and was taken to the morgue, and like, he ended up being like, I'm quiet, so that he can then leave. So that the rest of the anarchists think he's dead for good this time, so he can now go to Queensland with his daughter. And so he's got to go, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, it's surprisingly, like, well wrapped up, but also like sad.
Yeah. And then that's when she calls Lindsay, and she's like, "Let's go dancing." And you're just like,
Yeah.
Franny, your heart is
I think
broken a little.
so, I also think that like that's part of the reason that I liked that call with Lindsay was that it wasn't a like, well, now I need to like get over somebody by getting under somebody else. Like it was
Yeah,
a
it was
like
very much. I
it
feel
was a like
sad.
I just said goodbye to a bunch of people and it's been a really long week and like
I just want to
need
go
get
out
my
and
house.
Yeah, like I need
spend time with someone and have
not
fun
like,
doing it.
Not I need a fuck. It's literally I need companionship, and you're just like.
I liked that. I actually really liked that call with Lindsay. Like it was really short, but I really liked that.
Yeah,
it was very
really
humanizing
nice.
for Franny. I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and once
the book
more,
in general was very humanizing.
Yeah, because it also like it mentions in passing a lot of things like about her having been involved in the war and like part of why all of this is hitting her so hard is because she's seen this before and this is senseless and like it gives her a little bit more a little more weight to her personality and mannerisms.
Des, what were you gonna say?
and it goes back to your point about them tying in with like the previous books, the humanization stuff. That like she doesn't just like spend some time with someone for a week and then just be like move on to the next person. She does have those like ongoing relationships.
It's nice. I'm almost starting to wish that. I don't think there would be places for it, but I almost wish that the TV show did a little bit more of callbacks like that.
I don't honestly. I don't
Mr.
know.
Lynn is the only one I think they ever do that with, really.
Yeah, I don't know if it would work as well because the show is so heavy on Franny and Jack.
Yeah, it's very succinct. Yeah.
And like we spend enough time making Jack really uncomfortable and really jealous as it is. Like, how much worse would it be if she was like, "Oh yeah, and I called up Lindsay. That guy again? God."
To be fair, in the show, it's like, get away from Lindsay.
Ooh, yeah.
Who are you? He's so much
Yeah.
better. In the book, he's adorable.
Look, Lindsay is so good.
In that, you're like, ew, you're like this weaselly little rat person. Go away.
He's weirdly like a rat and also like a bro at the same time.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know. Anyway,
So, something weird about the book.
Yes.
The seance.
Yes!
How does she know about the thing? Like, Friday's memory. So, my question is, and this is also going to lead into my theory.
Oh, yeah.
So, either one, we may in fact revisit this woman. She might come up later. There might be connections. Or there is the genuine possibility that there is a mythical background to these stories.
Well, she did talk about how
she said
she's
that
not
they're
a
not
fraud.
always real.
They don't always come. So sometimes you got to make stuff up. So, yeah.
So there's a genuine possibility that like Kerry Greenwood is treating that there is like that magical background to the world. In the series, Murdoch? What's his name?
Murdoch Foyle.
Murdoch Foyle. He's got his whole evil plan that he's got to do, like that he's going through, which is based in like Egyptian mythology. So like, is that something that he might genuinely be able to pull off in the Phryne Fisher book universe?
I don't know if it would be related to that. But
but like the possibility that like if it happened in the books and he succeeded, would it work?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Ooh.
I say no because I don't think he's actually the reincarnation. Because it does depend on him believing that he's the reincarnation of Memses.
Oh, that's right.
And
that whole thing's very hazy. I've not.
Yeah, that's fair.
Been
I think that was the Egyptian king, right? Memses.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he firmly believed that he was the reincarnation of him. So it's like, no.
Yeah.
But we will get to that. Oh, we will
get
to that.
A couple of quick notes.
The other theory you do need to go over though.
Let me read out one of my favorite Dotton
Q.
Dotton Collins quote, which is Dot came down the stairs wearing Phryne's lounging robe and silver slippers and had the satisfaction of stopping Hugh Collins in mid-sentence. He was arguing for a police presence at the robbery. So he's like, we need people. And he's just like...
like...
I just loved that moment so much.
I also love that she had the satisfaction. Like,
because that means she noticed.
She knew, and she knew.
Like,
and it was intentional.
It was just that moment of, like, she came down for other reasons, but it was like that moment of, oh, I got you to have a moment. Like, that's how I feel that Dot's in her head is. Her mind of, like, look what I did. Beep, 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 beep. I think that was one of my favorite moments. I think my favorite moment in the whole thing is literally describing Hugh Collins' vague, delighted smile. Has got to be, like, it gave me butterflies for the weirdest reasons. Just made me so happy.
I love that. I also really loved the eyes as cold as St. Elmo's fire.
Ah.
That is one of my favorite lines now. I just had a thought.
Yes.
Was there a nipple count?
Oh, I've got my stats here if you want me to read them.
Oh, fantastic. But let's do, because we do that as a wrap-up. We've done, like...
Oh, yeah.
So what was your other theory, Des?
Okay.
I don't want this to be right.
I really desperately do not want this to be right.
Oh, no.
So, in the books, our current knowledge is that Phryne's sister died of pneumonia. I have a current concern that Ruth and Phryne's sister have been wrapped into one character, and that we are going to lose Ruth.
Where are you going?
To Rupert Foyle.
Where are you going?
No!
This is my current concern.
No!
And I want to be wrong. And that's why Ruth isn't in the series, is because she's wrapped into Phryne's sister.
I know, I've been having this theory since she first came out.
No, I don't want it to be a thing either.
I want to be wrong.
No, Ruth, they just didn't want to deal with 2 kids, so Ruth went to go live with her grandma. That's it. That's all. Des is having problems. Okay, so let's hope that's not a thing.
I'm gonna be really, really upset.
What are you hoping? Because we're gonna do a weird thing where we do a backtrack in the series, but going forward, because the Green Mill murder, I believe, is the next one, which is actually
the 3rd episode.
The 3rd episode, but it is
the 6th. Book.
Is it? Are we in the 6th?
Book? No, 5th book.
5th book.
Yeah. So, what do you hope we will encounter in the next book?
Me being wrong.
Yeah. I'm always for you being wrong. No, I'm kidding. I mean, I love you.
I'm hoping that we get, I lost all of my words.
I know what my actual one is, if that helps.
Yes.
Go ahead, yes.
I want to see, Jack come in as the main character for once.
Thank you. Yes, I want more
But
Jack.
also, I want like the police force to be a little bit more involved for like one book, so that we also get like Jack, Jones, Collins.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Honestly, I'd like to, in terms of that, I'd love to see WPC Jones again.
Yes.
I'd really like to see her again. I just really want to see more development in Hugh. Because I really like because this is the first time we've really gotten an introduction to him. And I'd really like to see, because Dot's gotten a lot of development over the last few books.
Yeah.
A lot.
Well,
This
is his first book. He didn't exist in. I mean, I'm sure he existed, but we didn't get to hear about it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm hoping that he gets some more depth in the next books, and we get to see more of him as a person.
I also want more police presence, not just because I want more Hugh, and we are so overdue for some good Jack. Like, I need more Jack in my life.
We all do.
Two, like, I would like a little bit, and I don't know if we're gonna get it, but I would like them to get to a point where I want Jack to start getting a little frustrated with Phryne always being there. I missed that. Like,
because he was a little bit on the Ballarat train.
Yeah. But but it was also like, she's really good. You should trust her. Like, she came highly recommended, and I was like, I'm wondering if that's just like because she hasn't quite yet gotten in your way, and I want that. I need that extra bit of tension that forces them to acknowledge each other's strengths and like that mental back and forth and that. I want the quips, you guys. I want the quips.
I want the repartee.
I want the mental sparring because
to me.
Jack and Phryne mental sparring is my literary sex.
And that'll hopefully come out more if, like,
yeah,
Jack is more involved.
Yeah.
So I think she just needs to investigate something that's, like,
it's his jurisdiction, and she's like, yeah, like, it's his case, all this stuff, and he's like, what are you doing here? And she's like, my job. even when we got the one with him, most of all, they only really interacted when he got called on a drug bust where she was suspected of cocaine possession, and when she gave him the abortionist tip-off.
Yeah.
It wasn't really... Yeah, so, like, they've never actually worked on a case together. She helped him off with a case that she was, like... Because in the book, the abortionist thing was so... It was so hands-off for them. She just, like, found out where to find them and was like, okay, WPC Jones, go.
Yeah.
I feel like what's going to happen is that, like, they're going to end up on the same case together, and he's going to start off with the thought, excellent, I've got Phryne's help. And then be like, oh god, I've got Phryne's help.
I want that to be a thing. He's like, oh, this will be lovely, because, you know, she'll give me what info she knows, and then she'll be on her way, like she was last time. Only this time they're working the same case. And
why is she still here?
Why are you leaving? Hey, that's my case. And it'll just be like, meh! And then like, but also, and like, I am a policeman. But, so yes.
I want Jack to be there, and I want him to be a little bit Hugh.
Oh yes, this is weird. I've never said this before. I need more of a police presence in my next book. I need it. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Des, what were our stats?
We have a really disappointing nipple count of 0.
I thought so. There were no. There were no.
And I am really disappointed. It was bad enough that we got down to 1 in the last book.
What about breasts? What are our breast count at?
4.
Okay. There were 4 breasts.
But... and part of that is when they're talking about Phryne getting the tattoo.
Oh, yeah. That's fair. It's very interesting. The sexy scenes were definitely more like, they were happening, and you could be like, yeah, Phryne's getting some. But it was more of a like, let's fade to black in this, I feel like. Then, like, let's describe it. And maybe Carrie Greenwood's being like, I can only write about nipples so many times. I don't know. I want to know. Did we had one partner, correct?
One partner.
Have we been counting how many times they've done things? How many sexy times?
No. Is that something we should have been counting?
I don't know. No, probably not. No, I think this is fine.
The other 2 metrics we have are like the now
like 3
kiss.
times.
Yeah.
I was like, go Phryne.
And one of them was definitely and then she woke up like 12 hours later. It was Monday morning, and she was very confused.
And she's like, I was very tired. All right. Had some good loving there. But I do believe we might have an because we were tracking a Hugh and
Yeah.
Yes.
What I've labeled as squee moments. We're like,
okay, how many squee moments? There's got to be at least like 2, if not more.
I'd say at least 2, but like I forgot to count them while watching the episode, and I'm never entirely sure what other people would consider a squee moment.
I don't actually remember squee moments really in the episode. Oh wait, no.
I've got like 6 of them in the book, but I think the squeak count's episode based.
No, I think it should be both.
Yeah.
But like in the book, I feel like there's so many like.
There's so many.
In fact, I would even be so bold as to say that maybe at the end of that book, I was kind of going, no kiss!
I definitely was.
But that was moving too fast.
They were dancing closer than even a foxtrot warranted.
Yep. And that's what made me go, now kiss.
just a little.
I really wanted when he walks her to bed at night, like he walks her back up and it's like, and she kissed her escort. I'm like, yes, on the cheek.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can't remember the context about this one particular quote though, which is Dot was evidently unaware of the number of sinful activities which could take place in a kitchen.
Oh, I remember the context of that one.
Oh, because they were up late, right?
They were up late talking. She's like, we were just up late.
Oh, in the kitchen.
Because she's like,
that's right.
When did the constable leave? And it was like 1 or 2 in the morning. And she's like, oh, really? And she's like, we were just in the kitchen. And then it's like,
that's right.
Dot was unaware of the things that could happen in a kitchen. Until I go, Friday. Today I learned Friday. No, I didn't. I knew that about you for so long. Anyway. I think that basically wraps up our discussion this time around.
Yeah.
It was nice. Des, where can the internet find you when you're not here lurking on my channel making nipple counts?
I have a strange life, apparently. Love you too. I can be found on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook as Dezzles. On YouTube, I talk about books, I play Pokemon, and I've got some new exciting stuff coming hopefully in the next couple of weeks where I may or may not be singing on my channel.
Yes!
Yay! Go Des! I mean, Zoe, where can people find you when we're not squeeing about Hugh and Dot needing to kiss?
Find me on Twitter at _Zengirl_. My writing blog is simply subtext.wordpress.com.
How does one spell?
Does that help?
Yes. Sorry. Your writings.
My ratings, and then I also have a Patreon, which is just under Zoe.
And an Etsy.
Oh yes, and I have an Etsy shop I have an Etsy shop that is abstract language. I also have a Redbubble shop.
And she does beautiful art, and she started doing body painting, and I'm excited about it.
Ah, the body painting is so cool.
And what about you, Kiri?
Well, I'm, of course, Kiri Callaghan. You're on my YouTube channel. Well, actually, the people watching right now are on my Twitch channel. But you can find me on YouTube and Twitch and Twitter, and I have a website. And it's all Kiri Callaghan because I'm very branded that way. And an Instagram where you will be able to witness my many travels through multiple dimensions and worlds where I've taken pictures and usually attach a little quote to it. We're doing things differently, but this will still stay regularly because I'm still kind of figuring out what I want to do and going through some mental changes and some changes with art and just kind of experimenting, and we're getting messy. But Bitch, I'm Here for the Story is here to stay. It brings me a lot of joy. I really enjoy talking to you guys, and I love talking about these books.
Talking to both of you too.
I really love the Franny Fisher series, and actually, I get to brag about this real quick. Hang on 1 second.
While Kiri's gone, locations from the last couple of books. I need to find some to go visit when I'm in Melbourne in a couple of weeks.
Yes, do that.
Yes, and please take pictures. Not to brag, but since this is the visit after, this is our episode after Christmas. Oh!
Ooh!
Ooh!
All 3 seasons.
Jealous.
As well as 34 episodes and 8 discs, bonus, and lots of things. It's pretty. Anyway, I'm very excited about that. And hopefully soon we'll get more info about the movie that is being filmed, and I'm so excited.
Yes.
Anyway, because by the time we're gone through all this, maybe the movie will be out, and we'll be like, all right, let's talk about the movie, y'all. Anyway. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And we will talk to you later. And cause we're coming back next month for Murder at the Green Mill, which has both an episode and a book. And we're gonna go through it because, bitch, we're here for the story.
We're here for the story. Joined in there for the fun of it.
Facts.